Alright, so I wanted to make this quick video and help a few people who are in the stock markets talk about a subject that's been trending, like it's very hot, and maybe bring value to you guys through my experience. So it's about PSU stocks. You've seen how the PSU stocks are running up, right? Like it's massive, like the bull run is unstoppable. But I wanted to touch up on a few points like why it's happening and what's going to happen in the future and what are some of the sectors that are looking good right now before the budget. So I'm quickly going to dive in like what really happened and like when did it start from. In December of 2022, I was in a different country. I was trying to read a lot of reports of what's going to happen in the market, and then I saw an anomaly. Like I saw an anomaly in the railway stocks. And the usual story behind the railway stock starts when when there's some sort of government announcement in the budget, like a lot of capex being announced by the government, and then the stocks start rallying from there on, and then they stop. Like for some reason they stop after a few weeks. But for that particular year in 2022, somewhere around Q3 Q4, the stocks started showing signs of momentum, like in the third or fourth quarter. And that's kind of odd, like even before the results started coming along. In that particular window of October till Jan, I saw a lot of like crazy amounts of movements in the PSU stocks in the railway basket. I wanted to share a quick video like what I was doing at that time. So I'm trying to document things a lot along the way. Something that's popping on my screen right now are the rail stocks. The usual story behind the rail stocks start when there is announcement from the government around the annual budget time, which is close to February. This year specifically, the rail stocks are showing some sort of activity from December mid, something around this time. And this is odd because I've not seen it happen before. There must be something brewing in the back end. Although there is a lot of activity in the PSU stocks, that is another reason, but there's definitely something brewing up that I'm not aware of. Maybe there's some sort of news coming up. I would be keenly watching out for these stocks right now. Probably you guys can do that as well, but this is very unusual and there must be something happening. Alright, so some analysts started talking about profit booking in railway stocks. Like that was just the beginning of the bull run in PSU stocks, and specifically in the railways basket. You can check the headlines. I attached some screenshot behind it. Most analysts who think that a lot of these PSU companies, they don't have a lot of growth since historically railway stocks haven't delivered much returns. Sudden rally in this space doesn't seem right, and like people should exit. I was kind of seeing things differently. Like there was a huge announcement by the government. They have capex announcement coming out. So after this video, I tried to learn what's happening, and then I saw a few articles, something like, so yeah, you can see there was a huge capex being announced in the budget. This was somewhere around November 2022. So the government at that time, the railway stocks were starting to move up. They were starting to like show some signs of positive momentum, and the only driver that was the government's capex push. So a lot of government projects were being awarded to these PSU companies, especially in the railway basket. And we are seeing till now, it's the beginning of 2024. The recording of this video, it's January 20th, 2024. We're seeing a lot of orders being given to these PSU companies in the railway baskets. I think this is going to continue playing out, like it's going to become a regular theme now. In the last 10-15 years, all these mutual funds talked about banks, ITs, pharma, metals, a lot of things. From here on, from now till the next 10-15 years, they'll include one more, which is railway defense PSU basket. That wasn't talked a lot in the past, but now it will, because there's only one thing, and that is the government's push. A lot of management changed in the PSU companies. They became a lot more professional. They saw that how much market cap growth is possible in the companies. Before it was just private companies. Now the public sector have become more competitive, and that's going to drive a lot of growth in that PSU basket. And people say that you should start exiting because some stocks are doing bad, some are doing good. I think this is just the beginning. This is just like, it's only been 1 or 2 years, and the next 10-15 years are going to be massive for PSU basket. We might even see a lot of PSU companies being added in the Nifty 50. We already saw that IRFC crossed Bajaj Finance market cap. And a lot of people are talking that IRFC has like a single client, but they don't understand that it's sovereign backed. What else do you need when you're like lending? Like that's the best client that you can have. Do you really want to calculate CIBIL score of that? So a lot of people will throw narratives from here and there just because they see that one company is getting overvalued, but they don't realize that there's a reason that all these companies are going up. They have strong valuations. We may see some corrections, but if you remember in 2023, we saw Prime Minister of India come up in the parliament and said that PSU stocks are going to go up. And the day after that, a lot of PSU stocks, like all the PSU stocks ran up. But it's not like that was the point when all the PSU stocks went up. We started seeing rally in PSU stock before than that. Like HAL, BEL, a lot of them. It's not that that was the reason that PSU stocks went up. That was a driver, like a huge driver. There's no denying in that. But I don't think that's the only reason that we saw. Like that statement give a push to investors that the government is serious about changing about the PSU dynamics of the companies. And there are a lot of great companies in the PSU basket, like IRCTC, like it's like a monopoly business. There's no competitor in that space. And we saw that they recently announced catering to all the PSU sectors. That whole theme, like all these companies that have monopoly, that have great influence, that have great presence, and they get a lot of projects from governments. And it's not that they are better than them. Like there are a lot of private companies who get infra projects, but they do it better. These companies now are doing it better because they are more competitive. They are delivering better results. They have great management. A lot of cleanup has been done in the NPA side, so there's no fear of that. And they have great support from the government. So all these like variables are working for PSU stocks. Most people say that PSU stocks have low float. Maybe that's part of the reason. We saw banks like these, Indian Bank, Central Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, they went up tremendously in the last 5 or 6 months. And people said that it's because of low float. You can see the numbers in the last 6 months. You can see the numbers like almost 60-70%. Central Bank of India is 79%. Most people say that it's because of they have low float in the market, but to an extent, like all these reasons that we find, that's true to an extent, not completely. And the funny thing is, we saw people debating that mergers don't create value, demergers create value. It's not that PSU banks that were merged didn't have value. They struggled with management, they struggled with brand value, they struggled with like credit cost, and because of all these mergers, their credit costs came down. They got a lot of distribution from other branches. They got investors because most mutual funds or even foreign investors would prefer a bigger bank instead of a smaller government bank that has a limited presence. They prefer a larger bank that has a wide network. They benefited from all of that. Do you really want to say that that didn't work out? Like mergers didn't work out? Like we're seeing the results. Do you really want to say that the government was wrong? Or do you really want to say that mergers don't create value? It's right in front of our eyes. So like we can have all these scenarios, we can have all these debates, but the reality always plays out in the market. The market is always right. So that's my argument to like mergers don't create value, demergers create value. Like that's true, but the results are there. I would want to believe the results instead of all these narratives. So what do I think about the coming months in the market, in the PSU basket? Like I said, this might be the beginning of a lot of great themes, a lot of great investments that come into these PSU companies. We might even see more PSU companies being listed in the stock market. That's going to happen for sure. I don't see any reason why not. One of the most successful IPOs that we saw, I read, it's up so much, like listed at 55-60, now it's at 150 plus, and every day we're seeing movement in those stocks. So I don't think there's anything bad in PSU stocks right now, and I think that more investments will happen, especially after the budget, bringing some populist budget. Markets are going to shoot up from here, there's no doubt about it, and PSU stocks will gain the most from that. That's what I think, that's what I believe, and that's what I'm going to do from here on. At present, I'm looking at a lot of PSU companies, like PSU banks are like finally showing momentum. You can see this basket, and you can see PSU companies in the other space as well. The biggest of gainers that we've seen, which is phenomenal. All of the most 99% of PSU companies have ran out. The one thing that I would watch out for specifically before the budget is the insurance space, because I think that receives a lot of traction in the budget, especially 2 or 3 days before the budget and during the budget day. There are only two companies listed in the insurance space in the PSU basket, so that's going to be a big theme for me that I'm going to watch for any sort of trades that come along. So yeah, that's my point of view on PSU companies. I hope you found this useful. Check out my other videos on my YouTube channel. I also have a lot of podcast episodes done with the best stock market legends, Alok sir, Vishal sir, and a few TV anchors, Mangala Malu, Neeraj Shah. Do watch those episodes. Let me know in the comments what you think of them, and feel free to share your thoughts on PSU companies.